All right, it is time to make some games, what you've all been waiting for. Now, we're going to try to keep our brain material inside of our heads because what you're about to see is going to seem mind-boggling, just straight crazy. So, maybe plug your mouth and your eyes and your ears if you feel your brain beginning to explode so you don't ruin the computers. Thank you. So, looking at the screen, we have the freebie that I gave you at the end of the last module, Module 8. I gave you a nice website layout that has navigation buttons, a column, a background. You're welcome to change all that stuff. Have a ball with it. What we're going to focus on now, though, is the content in the middle. We're going to start making some games. So I have two different types of games here. One is super simple, and I'm going to show you the code for it. Next one looks really simple, is not so simple. A game that you guys have probably played before in some way, shape, or form, like this weird ping pong destroying blocks thing. Notice that in both of the cases that the HTML and the CSS are the exact same, but the content in the middle is different. This one has just some basic text and a little input box here where we can type some numbers into it and then submit them. See if we, whoops, guess way too high. It's only supposed to be between 1 and 100. Tells us if we're right or wrong, if we were too high or too low. And we only got 10 guesses, so if we get them wrong, we have a game over, and then we can reload the page. Should probably have a reset button, but I got over it pretty quick. And then we start again, and we can just guess and submit. Okay, it's too low. Let me guess 60. All right, still too. Oh no, sorry, that's too high now. So guess again, 40, and then so on and so forth. And it will tell us until we get it right, if we get it right. This one is actually drawing objects on the screen. So when I move my mouse, notice that this paddle is going with it. I can also use the keys on the keyboard. So notice my mouse is now staying still, but I'm still moving the paddle with the keys here. And when it gets all of them, a little thing pops up and says, hooray, you won. Congratulations. And then you click OK, and it resets. So, two very different things. Let's go look at the code. So for the guessing game, here's the HTML. This is nothing new. This is CSS for all the navigation and buttons. And then here's the navigation buttons. Here's the stuff in the column. But then here we have the content. So this is where we're going to be focusing now, this content div. Here's my guessing game basics right here. Got the heading, which says guessing game. It tells you the rules inside a paragraph. And then there's a div with a few different things in it. We have a thing that tells people, a label that tells people to enter a guess. We have an input, which is that white box where people type in. That's called an input. We'll go over that. And then there's a button, a submit button. It says submit on it. And then that div ends and a new one begins. And this is everything that keeps track. So here's our guesses. Here's our last result. So was it right or was it wrong? And then this is it too low or too high? Notice these are classes here. So we have classes for CSS, for styling. But we can also use these classes for JavaScript. So I can style this class right here, or I can pass it down to the JavaScript and have the JavaScript do something with it. So this first game here, here's all the stuff in the HTML. And then underneath the body, notice the body ends, and then there's a new tag for us, which is a script tag. And all of our JavaScript goes in there. So below the body ends, because we want the browser to load the entire web page and then run the script after it's done. If we put the script up here, the browser might get stuck running the script before it loads the whole page, and that would be a crappy web page design. And then we go through the JavaScript, and there's the end script tag and the end HTML, and we're good to go. So look at this. Look at all this, just for a little guessing game. So our vocabulary, we talked about variables. So here's some variables. Don't get crazy, overwhelmed here. I'm going to teach you how to do all this stuff. There's some variables. We talked about functions, which are a list of procedures. Here's one function, which checks the guess. So it's going to take the user guess and see if it equals the number. So that's a function to check a guess. That could happen multiple times. Here's some loops, which we'll go over. So remember, loops happen over and over and over again. So these loops will keep on running until we get it right or wrong. Until we get it right or we lose the game. Here's some things to keep track of how many guesses we've had, some more functions, and then some little finishing touches here, generating random numbers, all that good stuff. So we'll go over all that, don't worry. But let's take a look at the next program, which was the crazy block game here. So this one has a moving element on it here, which is called a canvas. A canvas, just like in art, you draw something on a canvas in art, paint on a canvas. We have a canvas that we can put in our HTML. So notice the canvas is in the HTML. And then the script has the JavaScript in it. So we draw the canvas, which I'll teach you how to do. It's another new tag here, canvas tag. And we can draw anything we want on that canvas, any shape, any text. We can make all sorts of animations happen on that canvas. We're going to do that all in JavaScript. So notice this one has way more variables set equal to different numbers or different elements, different things, different functions here. We have some loops that will keep running and keep on knocking out bricks until the end of the game. We have some things to see if you're pressing down keys. We have some functions that we're going to run, like if you are, if your mouse is moving or if your keys are down. If you have collided, this is collision detection function here. If you have collided with a brick, what to do if that happens. And it goes on, drawing all the things. So drawing bricks, drawing the ball, drawing the paddle, all that good stuff. So a lot of code for such a simple game. So what you are going to have to do is become a planner. Not a lot of you are planners, but you are going to have to start planning for all of this. You can't just sit down and start typing some code and think that you are going to end up with all of this. You're out of your mind. You have to sit down. You have to think of whatever game you want to do. You have to think of all the variables you're going to need. What are all the things that you need to set up? What are things that are going to stay the same? What are things that are going to change? What are all the things that you have to draw? What things do you want looping? What things that are going to need functions? Okay, you cannot just willy-nilly start typing. You should be planning everything out. And I'm going to help you along the way. So don't get overwhelmed. But this is our end goal here, is to be able to write code like this. And once you can do this, you'll be able to make pretty much any game you could ever imagine.